Testing, testing. Is this thing on? Welcome to the Daily What Ifs. Nephilim woman found in Jerusalem. Welcome everybody to Visual Disturbance. I'm your host, and we're back at it again on the Daily What Ifs. As you can see on the screen here, Nephilim are back in the scene. Nephilim woman found in Jerusalem. Folks, we're just jumping right into it. I haven't done a Nephilim or a Daily What Ifs in a long time, so here we are back for another one. Subscribe, hit that like button. Let's jump right into this thing, and let's get into the information overload on Daily What Ifs. Welcome to the channel. As you can see here in the Jerusalem Post, a lot of things are going on in Jerusalem. A lot of things are going on in Egypt for many, many years here lately when it comes to archaeology. Very interesting times indeed when it comes to Nephilim. A lot of people don't know what the Nephilim are, but we're going to be talking about that here in a little bit. But as this article says and reads here, this excavation near Jerusalem finds 9,000-year-old six-fingered Neolithic shaman woman. Interesting times. The woman has 6 fingers on her left hand, a characteristic that ancient cultures was often interpreted as a sign of distinction and spiritual authority. Wow. As a recent study, published in the journal Ky described a tomb found at the Matzah archaeology site in the hills of Jerusalem, dating back to the pre-pottery Neolithic B period. The excavations of Matzah conducted between 2018 and 2020 uncovered one of the largest concentrations of settlements from this period in the area. The research was carried out before the construction Highway 16, the third access road to Jerusalem from the west. The tomb containing the remains of a woman who may have played a spiritual role or acted as a shaman in her community. Anatomical analysis indicates that the woman was over 15 years old at the time of her death, which I think is very strange. Notably, she had 6 fingers on her left hand, a characteristic that ancient cultures often interpreted as a sign of distinction and spiritual authority. Funerary objects are found alongside the woman, including green stone necklaces. Imagine that. And a mother of pearl jewelry reinforced a hypothesis of her importance within the Neolithic society. Most individuals were buried with decorations such as stone, bracelets, pendants, and beads made of exotic materials like alabaster and green stones. According to the researchers, the stone bracelets found in some of the graves are associated with the transition rituals between life and death. Imagine that, folks. So let's go ahead and just jump into it. I just gave you the information. What do you guys think in the description box? Let me know what you guys think about this one, because the 6-finger thing got me, folks. The 6-finger got me on that. So here's my take on it. The question is, why now? If you've been following me for a long period of time on Visual Disturbance channel, a lot of things have went down the last 4, 5, 6 years when it comes to archaeology. And it's kind of interesting that these things that have significant value, right? Culture changes, let's just say giant stature, 6 fingers, something to that magnitude that would give you the heebie-jeebies, so to speak, right? The heebie-jeebies. Y'all heard it on here, the heebie-jeebies. So the question is, why now? Why would they expose this right now? It's interesting, if you followed me on some of the other platforms, I did some programs not too long ago about Gilgamesh's dream tablet, right? And, we had a certain individual, let's just say, I guess the woman had a high stature in her, as far as our country. She still has some type of significance, I guess. I'm not going to say anything as far as names, but I wouldn't say she has significance of anything. But she inquired about, the individual inquired about an email not too long ago, back years ago, talking about the Nephilim and where Gilgamesh was buried. And they're interesting. But then you have this in Jerusalem, the Nephilim woman found in Jerusalem. So, Brian, what do you think when you're asking yourself what the what ifs. And here's what I would say. Not only in the Bible do we talk about men and gigantic stature men that had 6 fingers, right? And 6 toes. Heck, even in the Genesis 6 verse 4, we've talked about it many times here on the Visual Disturbance channel. Giants that roamed the earth in those days, right? The giants, the Gilbarim, the sons of God mated with the daughters of men and bore out giants. So it's interesting with this narrative that's going on here. And you think, here's the thing, my first knee-jerk reaction when I think about this is the Kandahar Giant, the report back in the early 2000s. I've said it, I even did a little segment on the Kandahar Giant. I haven't talked about it in a while. But the Kandahar Giant was, to me, resonating an interdimensional, let's just say gateway, stargate, whatever, scenario. And one would have to wonder with this Nephilim woman, I know that they didn't say that, but when I see 6 fingers, I think Nephilim automatically, okay? But they even say this woman was supposedly 10,000 years ago. That's how long, 9 to 10,000 years ago is the reports. But the interesting part is that she was 15 years plus is what they came to the date of her age. How in the world could you have a distinctive stature? Is it just because of the 6 fingers? More than likely, right? But here's the paradigm shift. When it comes to this whole claim in archaeology in this modern day narrative, what if it's just a number that they're putting in? What if it's just something they're just speculating on? What if there's an interdimensional concept? Just like the other night when they talked about, on the Now You See TV, when they talked about the tall whites and the Nunahi, right? So what if this is some kind of weird spin that these there's like little, let's just say gifts of so-called, alabaster, these green necklaces, which I would get into more on the concept of Thoth and the emerald tablets. What color? It looks greenish, right? An emerald green. So it's interesting if there's any correlation with this. And there's another what if. There's a bunch of what ifs on this one. What if the date and the timing is not right? So if that's the case, then, we have 6,000 to 7,000 years ago. A lot of people stretch a little bit on the time, but I think there's more to like 7,000 plus a little bit, but not to 10, about Adam and Eve's story, right? The Garden of Eden, what's going on there? And then you have this Neolithic period in Jerusalem. And here's the weirdest thing about it. She has a shaman. She's a shaman. But how do you become, at that young of age, a shaman? But I guess it's the distinction of her 6 fingers, right? So my claim, when I thought about another one too, I thought about, is this setting the stage? Another what if? Is this setting the stage for the UFO phenomenon? Is the masses going to be stirred into this UFO agenda? And the Nephilim and the sons of God would be, in my opinion, a narrative and let's just say incursion of just like what we're talking about now, but this was thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago when the sons of God made with the daughters of men, they chose wives as they chose, right? And they bore giants. So what if this is a whole tied into some kind of weird, wicked, twisted scenario that has Nephilim written all over it? And what are they going to do with the body? Then when I alluded to earlier with the Gilgamesh's dream tablet, and let's just say there was certain things that was extracted from a certain place out east back in the 2000s. And let's just say that there was artifacts, 2,200 of them, by the way, in a museum in Iraq, 2,200 artifacts that had to do with resurrection, to do with like blood and different ritualistic kind of concepts. And, this article is talking about ritual traditions and things that was going on 10,000 years ago, supposedly to this Neolithic time frame. So when you have these things and you correlate it together, and you have the Gilgamesh's dream tablet, you have all these 2,200 artifacts that are to resurrect and reincarnate. I mean, there's some sick stuff and crazy stuff out there, folks. So what if? What if they found this because this woman has a significance? And we done a program not too long ago on the vampire in Poland. What if this reminds me of the account of the Lilith, right? Is there something here that we're missing? And I'm not putting down on the Jerusalem Post here whatsoever, but is there something else that people know that are in the higher ups? That's what I'm saying. So when it comes to academia and the churches, what are you going to do? These stories are coming out and they're just flowing every which way now. So what are you going to do when they're coming at the floodgates cannot be held back anymore and the dam is broke? What can you do now? And so are we going to just say the giants didn't exist? Are we going to say that they did not, the tibulas, and they was not as big as a car? I mean, are we not going to address that? Are we just going to say the Nephilim never existed? Are we going to say that the sons of God never existed? I mean, how much more can we throw out, right? And, then here's another narrative. I'm not going to say the certain word, but there's certain individuals that say that there's this certain group of humans that were just had carnivore nature, and they were just evil wickedness, and that's what happened, and that's how the sons of God, or excuse me, that's what the sons of God was, and that's how they became the giants, which the evidence is overwhelming that the Nephilim and the giant narrative and the Raphaim have once roamed the earth, and they was giants that roamed, that was of gigantic stature, 36 foot tall plus, and then after the flood, it was more like 15 to, 8 to plus, around that 8 to 15, 20 feet tall range. So what's going to happen, right? So is this some kind of like cultivating of the minds and the neural pathways for people to get their consciousness? 6 fingers, right? Yes, there's people out in other countries that have birth defects. Yes, I understand that. I am not putting down on that whatsoever. But the point is, the Nephilim woman here found in Jerusalem, what is the significance of the time frame? Here we are in 2025, and there's a lot of different things that are just coming out in the floodgates, like I keep saying, and it seems to be a paradigm shift. So I'll leave you with this. What if there's some kind of sick, twisted thing that they have the ability to either bring back, spiritually, or bring back resurrecting something of let's just say zombie-like, let's just say the Raphaim, it means the dead. Wonder if it's coming back around the bend, and this wickedness will be coming upon the earth, which the Bible says men's hearts will fail them looking after the things come upon the earth. So it makes you wonder, makes you go, what's going on in our reality? So surely goodness, what if they have the sick, twisted mind to have the ability to resurrect and do something manipulation and bring back these ancient gods, these ancient, let's just say, ones that went around the world that had a social status of a higher authority and had these abilities to use all these magic and wizardry, right? And that's why they had the bracelets and stuff on. It makes you wonder. And then not only to mention the 6 fingers, there's no telling what this woman had capability of. Her IQ, her intelligent level probably was off the chain because they was worshiping her at such a young age. So you have to ponder and wonder on the mentality and the reality of what we are functioning on in our world and what's going on today. It seems like people are losing their wit about them, like their comprehension of reality. And this would be one of those what ifs that just kind of baffles the mind. A Nephilim woman, the Nephilim, with 6 fingers, and I had to do a report on the daily what ifs, and I'll leave you with this. What if they're going around finding these archaeological digs, and they're using, let's just say, software and applications that starts with the A, and it's not too hard it's only 2 letters, and wonder if they're able to use it in a way to extract these ancient artifacts that go along with the Gilgamesh's dream tablet and other things that are used that change and shift the human consciousness. And just what if? So I'll leave you with that. Nephilim woman found in Jerusalem. Subscribe, hit the like button, share this thing out. I hope you're liking the daily what ifs. Comment below. Let me know what you think about this narrative here about the 6-finger woman that they found in Jerusalem that's supposedly been sitting around for 10,000 years and at a young age. And let me know what you guys think. Thank you all for your time. And I appreciate everybody being so kind and always being just so supportive here at the Visual Disturbance channel. But until next time, keep your head on the swivel and watch out for the aliens, the Nephilim, the fallen angels, and keep your head up and don't look down because They might get you in trouble because you never know what's going to be hovering over in the sky. So until next time, the Daily What Ifs, Nephilim woman found in Jerusalem. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you like the Daily What Ifs. But until next time, Visual Disturbance, I am out of here.
Got one that can see.
Yo, Bigfoot, this is a quick spill and rhyme. Spears and cons a place, it's a true seeking time. What you gotta say, Bigfoot, about that?
Let me tell you. You don't want to miss SpiracyCon 2025. Dang, I stink.
Check. Is this thing on? Welcome to the Daily What Ifs. Did UFOs build Stonehenge? Hello everybody and welcome back to Visual Disturbance. We are back once again for Daily What Ifs. Did UFOs build Stonehenge? I don't know, but we're going to jump into some things here to have some compelling information about Stonehenge. As you know, if you've been following the Visual Disturbance for a long period of time, I love archaeology sites, I love megalithic structures, I love things that are just out of the ordinary, the fringe topic. Fringe. So, welcome to the Daily What Ifs. Did the UFOs build the Stonehenge? Let's get into it here, folks. So Stonehenge is, according to Wikipedia, you have a prehistoric megalithic structure with Salisbury Plain, Wiltshire, England. Okay, so we have this megalithic structure, this contemporary monuments. Okay, so they have all these blue stones, etc., but I want to emphasize a lot here. There's something alignment with the summer solstice, the winter solstice. The stones are set within the earthworks in the middle of the densest complex of the Neolithic and Bronze Age, right? Monuments in England. So it's interesting that there are burial mounds not too far around. And it's interesting also that it's in the Neolithic period. If you haven't got an opportunity to watch the Nephilim woman in Jerusalem, we talked about the Neolithic period and what they found in Jerusalem not too long ago. So check this out. So I've been literally thinking about this and wanted to do a what if. So everybody pretty much knows, if you've been hiding under a rock, what Stonehenge is. We're looking at let's just say astronomer's dream, right? And the astronomer's dream of looking into these, let's just say cosmological alignments with these megalithic structures. But it just isn't interesting that it's in England, and isn't interesting that they're predating it back to the Neolithic time. A lot of things went on in the Neolithic time, it seems. A lot of things went down in the Neolithic age, it seems. So Stonehenge could be Stonehenge could have been a burial ground from the earliest beginnings. Deposits containing human bone date from early as 3000 BC, when the ditch and the bank were first dug, and continued it for at least 500 years. So if you look at that and you think about it, I've been looking at a lot of different sites and different, let's just say megalithic sites. What if, I'm going to throw out a what if, did you know there's a TV show that you watch right now, and a lot of people don't know about it, but some people do. It's out there out in the west side of America, out there at the Skinwalker Ranch crew. they have been using things with bovine. So bovine, it comes from cows, right? Bovine blood. And it's interesting that they're talking about quantum entanglement, quantum physics, and maybe something to the effect that quantifiable blood of bovine shows this molecular change in the atmosphere. So I thought about it. And when the daily what ifs, so here's where I'm going. I'm going down the rabbit hole here on Visual Disturbance, folks. So what if the UFOs have a launch pad here that make it conspiracy and just a theory of whatnot? So we're going to get into it. So when you look at this ceremonial site, many believe the Stonehenge was used for religious ceremonial or a burial ground, which they have, like I alluded to a minute ago, they have a ton of burial sites. Human remains was found, suggested it might have been a place for honoring the dead. But what if it's like we talked about in the Neolithic period, and then we talked about the last what ifs we had the woman in Jerusalem found, and I titled it Nephilim when she had 6 fingers. What if, folks, that this is something to do with what I spoke about earlier, because with the Nephilim on that earlier episode of Daily What Ifs, what if there is something to do with life and death, like I alluded to with that program, and there are all these, let's just say, blood everywhere and bone fragments and whatnot. What if there's something that happens and these people wait for this particular moment in time? Or something else diabolical. What if we have some kind of interdimensional concept? And heck, what if we have UFOs placing down it's a launching pad or it's a landing pad for your Vimana or your Alphanas or the Ephas, etc. So astronomical observatory, this alignment of some of these stones, like I said earlier with the solstices and the solar events, which for agricultural or religious purposes. So, and then also they're talking about, the healing sanctuary with these blue stones. So isn't that interesting? We've talked about this a lot. Me and Brother David talked about blue. Get you some blue paint, get you a blue tarp. You know what I mean? You might have a little pop in the sky, a little spray, make it go cray. Y'all remember that. So this theory about it might have been a place of healing. So riddle that one. So here's the question. How were the stones moved? The stones weigh about 50 tons. How could they be transported to distant locations over 200 miles away? The methods used to transport or erect for these massive stones are not fully understood, although the theories include ledges, rollers, and possible water transport, which I just have to completely not even agree with. So if you look at the engineering side of it, the precision on the alignment of the stones suggests advanced knowledge in engineering and astronomy for the time, which is still not completely deciphered. Well, imagine that. Well, there's probably some AI components that'll help you decipher it now, according to what's going on in the world. So, when we look at who built it, right? We talked about the Neolithic, the Bronze Age, and these cultural practices remains a puzzle, right? And when you look at the Stonehenge and the cultural landscape with other monuments and barrows nearby, how does this site relate to each other in terms of function or cultural significance is debatable. So it's interesting that there's American Stonehenge, there's Stonehenge all over the place. There's some in Spain. They get that are buried underwater, and then ever so often they'll show themselves. The water will recede, and boom, you have your little tiny Stonehenge. So there's missing pieces, like we talked about the land of Brogard. There's missing stones there too. So it's interesting. They might have broke it up. They might have broke this ancient stargate up. What do you think, folks? It's a what if program. So these lost stones are indication that Stonehenge has more stones than they're visible today. Where these stones went, whether they were removed or never fully erected, it's unclear. Hello. But, if you wanted something to be hidden and you wanted to something like Gobekli Tepe or, all these Stonehenges and, places that the Ring of Brogard, you would disrupt the flow of the connection to the, let's just say, ley line or Stargate in hints, right? You would have to get away from it. So here's the kicker. So there's suggestions and evidence out there that there's some theory suggests that Stonehenge might have been designed with acoustics in mind. Hello. We've talked about this a lot here in the last month with FOJC. We talked about the psionic abilities and stuff that's coming out, and people are claiming that they can call forth the UFOs, they can use their mind and summon in these craft or whatever, what have you. Isn't it interesting to be? It's an interesting time to be alive. I'm not saying go do that, but that's what their claims are. So it's interesting when you look at harmonics and look at the way the star forts were built and the breaking it down of the molecular structure of the ground. Then all of a sudden you have this either cathedral, we talk about Tartarian culture, and or excuse me, I'm getting tongue tied. But as far as the way that they was used and throughout time, these structures have been withstanding the years of time and cataclysms, right? So the architect work is unbelievably, it's a phenomenon, to say the least. So the theories and stuff people are saying, and academia is saying, acoustics in the mind, design acoustics in mind, where certain sounds could have amplified or directed in specific ways for ritualistic purposes. The aspect is still speculative, but adds an interest layer of mystery. Imagine that. But what if the reason why we do these what ifs daily programs, I don't do them daily, but I try to do them as much as I possibly can. I'm going to try to keep pumping them out as much as possible. So what if there's harmonics, some type of a narrative where there is some type of harmonic sound frequency, light spectrum, or something to that magnitude, where these ancient megalithic sites. But I'll leave you with this. Limestone, we talked about this on FOJC. Limestone can be manipulated and used and formed with sound frequency waves. So riddle that one. What do you want to bet me that deep down somewhere close proximity of this in this location? Let me know in the description box if you guys know where it's at. If you have any inkling of understanding in England, if you're from England, you have the receipts that there's abundance of limestone around this area. I bet probably, I'm about 50% sure, maybe 60% sure, there's probably limestone laying everywhere, all over the ground, underneath the ground. And guess what? So what that is, what I mean, limestone can be manipulated with sound frequency. So riddle that one, folks. I've been finding it everywhere when it comes to limestone. I've been finding all kinds of megalithic structures. You just can't make this stuff up. But what if visual disturbance, we might be on the rabbit trail here. What if we are divulging into things here and looking into things, and what if it's Nephilim, ancient technology of the fallen angels? What if, folks? Because that's what I think it is. I think there's ancient technology, but we talked about the last what if, the daily what if with the Nephilim and the woman from Jerusalem they found with the 6 fingers. Here's the deal. Could it be that these ancient sites are literally Stargate coordinates and Stargate, and that's why they put them on a tourist attraction, or it's just some type of, they put all their money into it to preserve these locations because they have ancient significance, which it ties back to the ancient phenomenon when it comes to the sons of God and the fallen angel narrative, because there's no way that man can replicate it. There's no way that man can do this on his own now. And according to the people in the know, though, they're coming around with the ufologists are trying to expand upon the consciousness of man and use man's mind to be able to manipulate stones and manipulate their space around them on a quantifiable field. So riddle that one, folks. What if, like I said earlier with the Stonehenge, what if there's something to do with bovine blood? What if it's quantifiable to a certain extent and it starts making things manifest? I don't know. But what if this is just an ancient site, and it's periodically throughout the summer solstice and time of when the constellations come to a clock, that ever so often that these sites are activated, so to speak. But guess what? If they don't have all the keys, if the stones are not all there in in circumference, this thing can't be activated. So I wonder who able to move 50-ton objects and nobody has any evidence of it. It's just whoosh, it's wiped away from history. I wonder who. But the daily what ifs, folks, did the UFOs build Stonehenge? I would say there's probably something to that, to a certain degree of, like I said, sound waves, light spectrum, autonomous vehicles would be easier to be able to pull this off. If you had if you had a Chinook from military applications, you'd have to have many to be able to transport and make sure these things get to safety. There's no way this could be replicated unless we had some ancient technology that has been hidden, which I believe there has been, and people are just now coming to that, I guess, that knowledge. I wouldn't say it's good knowledge, but there are dabbling in things they probably shouldn't be. But, you know, welcome to the what ifs, the daily what ifs here on Visual Disturbance. Who knows? But I went a little long there. Did the UFOs build Stonehenge? Let me know what you guys think in the description box. Comment below. I really would appreciate it, and thank you all for allowing me to be taking part with me here and being in the daily what ifs and taking part with me on these let's just say thought-provoking conversation pieces. So let me know what you guys thought. Let me know what you think about the UFOs and who built them. Was it man? Was it the reptilians? Was it the Greys? Was it the Palladians? Was it the Tall Whites? Was it the Nunahi? Did the Nunahi build this? Because the Nunahi means people that live everywhere, anywhere. They can live anywhere. So riddle that one, folks. According to the account, we'll talk about that one day coming down the daily what is the Nunahi, and we'll dive into that narrative and that topic. It's very interesting topic for me. So anyways, with that being said, the UFOs build the Stonehenge. Welcome to the daily what ifs. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you for being part of the Visual Disturbance community. See you on the next one. Until next time, Visual Disturbance, I am out of here. Keep your head on a swivel and keep your eyes straight, because you don't never know what's going to come up above you. Remember, a little spray make it go cray-cray. Keep your minds on the narrow way. Do not differentiate and get away from the narrow path. Don't get on the broadened path. Stay on the narrow way. So, see you on the next one, folks, on Visual Disturbance channel. Until next time, Visual Disturbance, I'm out of here.
Got one that can see.
Testing. Is this thing on? Welcome to the Daily What Ifs. UFO disclosure won't happen, will it? Let's find out on this Daily What Ifs. Well, we're back for another one here on the UFO disclosure won't happen, will it, on the Daily What Ifs. Today on Visual Disturbance channel, we're going to talk about some things, like I always bring up, some thought-provoking, gear-turning conversations. So I hope everybody's doing well. Thank you for being here, and welcome to the Visual Disturbance channel. Well, here's my thought on this before we get into the what-if part of it. Think about the UFOs, aliens, and the whole narrative and everything we brought up here on the disclosure stance. And I would say, here's my take. Disclosure happened a long time ago. When you think about the fallen angels and the oath that they took on Mount Hermon, and you look at the book of Enoch, and you look at like what has happened throughout the humanity stance, thousands and thousands of generations, you have all these different... that's like thousands and thousands of generations, but you got thousands and thousands of years, and there's this huge gap of understanding where people seem to believe that this is new information, this disclosure stance, right, with the aliens and the UFOs. Well, you can go to the biblical stance, you can go, and think about the Genesis 6 narrative, you can go into ancient Samaritan, different writings of ancient cultures and civilizations that came and went, and they talk about different things to do with UFOs, things flying in the sky, star gods, star people, the whole ball of wax. And you mean to tell me we're going to be sitting here in 2025 and think that this stuff has never happened? And there's nothing new under the sun. That's what the Bible says. But it's just interesting that people cannot grasp that reality. I'm talking about the people that are in the know, the people that are in the mainstream media, the people that are at the supposedly these high stature positions and teaching and trying to disclose this information. It's interesting to me, very interesting, that the narrative just keeps getting regurgitated and refabricated and literally presented to the public through all these different cycles of generational, I guess, time frames. You know, we can talk about the 1940s. We can talk about documentation that's freely given. It's in the FOIA documents that talk about flying rolls, talking about, now I didn't say bread, I didn't say rolls like a piece of bread, I'm talking about a flying cylinder-like object. You have cylinder-shaped objects, you have circle-shaped objects, triangle-shaped objects, which is re-engineered human stance on it, re-engineered craft that we have the capability of having from ancient fallen angel technology, aka what they call it now, aliens. So the disclosure had already happened when it came to the fallen angels and the sons of God made with the daughters of men, and they bore giants because it was literally an attack on the, let's just say, human stance on the human genome. They wanted to throw a little wrench in the motor, so to speak. And that's when you have the Nephilim before the flood and the Raphaim after the flood. And you have these incursions of these narratives of giants that roam the earth. It's so compelling and so interesting. So let's get into somebody that's in the know. Let's get into somebody that's in the know and talk about this individual for a minute. Mark Rubio. So previously stated the UAP disclosure might be the biggest story in human history, and has now been made director of the U.S. NAT Archives, which is also an organization responsible for declassifying UAP information under the UAP Disclosure Act. Well, let's talk about Mr. Rubio. I have nothing to say negative about him at all. So I hope Marco Rubio, I didn't mean to mess his name up there, I'm getting tongue-tied. Marco Rubio, I hope he does a well job of doing this. He's been a whistleblower. He's been a person of high stature trying to speak about this, I think, way back 2017, talking about these military bases and these craft was shutting down these military bases that had nuclear codes, etc. It's just interesting. So let's talk about Mr. Rubio here for a minute. UAP Task Force. So he's been taking a key role in pushing for establishment of the former UAP Task Force in 2020. He was an acting chairman of the Senate Intelligence Community. He included provisions of Intelligence Authorization Act for the feasible year of 2021, requesting a detailed analysis of UAP data from the Office of the Naval Intelligence Identified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. Rubio has publicly stated that he takes the issue seriously, primarily from a national security perspective. He has emphasized that sightings by military personnel should be investigated because they could represent an advanced technology from adversaries or unknown sources. He's an advocate for a mature approach to understanding UAP, suggesting that the stigma around the UFOs should not hinder serious investigation. Rubio has been linked to discussions regarding like whistleblowers, right? So in 2023, Rubio confirmed to News Nation that he had heard firsthand accounts from the individuals in high government positions collaborating claims made by UFO whistleblower David Grush, who alleged the existence of a secret UFO retrieval program. Rubio emphasized the need to protect these whistleblowers and to approach the claims without jumping to conclusions. And then as far as the media, when he appearances in the media, Rubio appeared on various media outlets. He discussed on the topic of Fox News, CBS, 60 Minutes, and other things about the transparency investigation due to the potential national security implications. So based off his point of view, his specific points, he's talking about security concerns. Rubio has framed his interest in the UAP primary as a matter of national security, suggesting that unknown aerial phenomenon could represent technological advancements by adversaries. And then Rubio has been investigating and involved in pushing legislation that would increase transparency by UAP. This includes the requirement of an unclassified report of UAP, which was part of the 2021 Intelligence Authorization Act. And he's also a big advocate for protections of the coming out of the whistleblowers and protecting them, and especially the 2022 National Defense Authorization Act, including whistleblower provisions regarding the UAP. So when you think about this and really ponder on the idea that the public and everybody in the government and Marco Rubio, forgive me, I'm off my game today. But so when you're thinking about this in the government and everything involved with these UFOs and this serious security concerns, he's literally pushing for transparency on this phenomenon. So here's a what if, the what if factor here. And guess what? On the Visual Disturbance channel, I speak a lot about controversial topics, and I've said this before on the what ifs. Some cases I'll bring up, I guess let's just say me being speculation on my part. That's why I called it the what ifs, right? That's why I formatted this show to be called the what ifs. So I'm just letting everybody know that and bring that to everybody's attention again, because I get a lot of flack for telling my spin when I bring actual receipts and the conversation flows. So I just literally go with my thoughts on it, So continue on. So here's my thoughts on the what if. So what if Marco Rubio has a point? What if he knows top tier clearance and he has all these government agencies and everybody's involved? What if this is all to do with like some huge cover up on an interdimensional concept? What if it's a huge big cover up with stargates? And I've been talking and trying to figure out what the stargate coordinates are. No joke. Big shout out to Elon Musk. I've been trying to get a hold of him to give him, or for him to give me the locations to the star forts and the stargate coordinates. No joke. There's some star forts that I've not been able to map out. I got quite a few. Well, not more. Well, it's more than few. I've got hundreds and hundreds, probably in the thousands of star forts all over this great Earth. But I've been looking for some underneath the Earth. So there you go. So get back to the disclosure. They're talking about summoning UFOs and orbs with your mind. They're talking about the human connection with it. People have speculated online that it's Atlantean technologies, the security system of the great Dyson spheres, which is ridiculous and insanity, all in the same. It's literally, you throw it up against the wall and it's all the same rhetoric and same insanity. And then with Marco Rubio here, trying to push for this. There's a lot of people pushing for this when it comes to these high stature people in the, in the higher ups. And I really do hope that the transparency in this phenomenon comes out. But see, here's the thing. It's already has. So at the very beginning of the program, we talked about the Genesis, talking about the biblical narrative. We're talking about the sons of God made with the daughters of men. We're talking about the first disclosure. And throughout civilizations, the Mayans, the Incas, the whole flock, everybody has got evidence of communicating with these, let's just say, extraterrestrial, Palladian, tall, white, blue-eyed, blonde-hair, red-headed giants, whatever they are. And the Indians, the Native Americans, knew what the cost was when they presented this, when they present them, these creatures or whatever they are, these fallen entities would present themselves. They would ask for something, and then they would get, it's a con, right? They was conning these Indian, the Native Americans. Before you know it, they give them, they would give them technology, give them understanding how to forge, archery, different swords, and different tactical arrangements to do with the Indian culture to be able to be more advanced Indian Native American culture. But at the end, before you know it, like I've talked about here a lot on the Visual Disturbance channel, over and over again, the giants would show up and come out of the woods and take the women and the children, and then the populations would get wiped out because they couldn't repopulate. But see, when you talk about the Manakuwabu, you talk about the Greys, you talk about all this, these different types of characters and different things that's coming in our Earth and been going to and fro in our Earth for a long time, and you get into the inner Earth and different concepts with the reality of stargates and tunnel systems, people start to freak out and they say, well, you're disinformation specialist. Well, that's not what I'm doing at all. Literally, I'm just trying to bring stuff to light here on the What Ifs program. And basically what I'm saying on the What Ifs today, what if Marco Rubio, what if the powers that be, people that is even above here and these cosmic clearance generals that you hear about all the time, it's like 12, 13 levels above the president. You have to sit there and ponder on the idea that there's people in the know that have everything, like every bit of knowledge, every bit of understanding when it comes to technological advancements. So the disclosure's already happened. It's just close-knit. There's close-knit for these people that have been, let's just say, coveting their information, and they're just not letting the people know. And we've been, to the masses, we've been literally lied to, like, for a long time. But like I said, if you can just do just a basic, overview of all these cultures, civilizations. They talk about these craft. They talk about the cylinder-shaped objects. They talk about these astronaut-looking beings that show up. The Patagonian giants talking about these the way they understood to talk to the Spaniard, and was showing him in detail and illustrating how this astronaut, this man in a suit, it looked like an astronaut. Go back and look at that. It's pretty compelling. And this is the 1400s. You got a Spaniard trying to articulate what this giant was talking to him about. So isn't it kind of interesting that you see these astronaut-like suit, like humans, show up all over these megalithic structures, and they look like they've been 3D printed onto a pillar or whatever, and piece of granite. And it's just interesting to me that this stuff has already happened. But there's something going on. We got time travel capability, which I'm still on the fence with. And I think this is what, Marco Rubio is stating here, might be the biggest story in history, with all this nonsense going on with interdimensional travel, these concepts of speed of light travel, different transportations, different things with the AI communications to advance humanity. Literally, folks, it's a powder keg getting ready to explode, and there's misinformation. But if you stay and really focus and really stay coordinated on the matter, and you look at, the UFO documents from the 40s, you go back and look at all the documentations in Egypt back in the literally Thutmose the third, I think, was talking about to his priest, why were these craft in the sky for several days? Well, then you go back and reiterate, you go back to the New Jersey narrative with the orbs and everything, and they're using these so-called orbs for surveillance or some kind of special tactic, some type of system. Who knows? But I will say this before I let you go. That disclosure's already happened. It's just, this is in 2025, and the masses have been so gaslighted and so defragmented in their brain and being predictive programming in movies. They don't even know what the past holds, and they're always looking for somebody else to spoon feed them and give them information that is freely given. But it's called, I guess, let's just say sleight of hand, and these people have the power to somehow manipulate the mind to a degree where people get so miscombobulated that they can't even face reality. So, with that being said, I hope Mr. Rubio knocks it out of the park. I hope he gets everything he needs as far as the transparency of it. But I would just say here on the what ifs, I believe it's already happened. But we're just getting another regurgitated small inkling of it that's happened years ago, hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. And that's why there's just missing gaps in all kinds of different things. When you look at 500 to 1,000 years ago, there's missing time and missing fragments. But, I guess that's where all the documents are. They're over in the Vatican. Maybe that's what it is, folks. Maybe they're just hoarding up all this information and making it all just happy-go-lucky. So with that being said, if you like the what ifs today, a little bit off my game today, I kid you not, I actually, because I have some teeth issues, just to throw us out here, I literally bit my tongue the other day. You can't make this stuff up. And I don't have a what if to talk about that. I'm just saying I bit my tongue, and now it's kind of hard to speak sometimes on doing these programs. So hopefully it'll heal up soon, and I won't have the little boomhauer redneck country slang and sound like I've, got a, let's just say a big thing of dip in my mouth. But I don't dip, but maybe that's what it sounds like sometimes. So everybody be blessed. Welcome to the Visual Disturbance channel. I'll see you in the next Daily What Ifs. Comment below in the description box. Let me know what you guys think on the UFO disclosure. Won't happen, will it? That's the question. Comment below and let me know what you think on my idea and the thoughts that I threw at the table today. Wonder if there is something to it. Wonder if it's already happened and we're just getting a regurgitated rendition of it now. That's my point. That's my take on it. But what's your all's take? What's your all's take? So thank you all for being part of the Visual Disturbance community. I'll see you on the next one. Welcome to the Daily What Ifs. Until next time, Visual Disturbance, I'm out.
Got one that can see.
Bigfoot, the cryptic creature that roams and dominates the land. Do you have anything good to say about us, man?
Visual Disturbance a cool guy, but I'm even cooler because I know the woods better than any, man. So come find me this August at SpiracyCon 2025 at Cave City, Kentucky. Hope to see you there.
Well, we're back for another one here on the Visual Disturbance channel. We are going to be talking about Westworld coming to reality here on the Daily What Ifs. Well, welcome everybody to the channel today. We're going to be talking about our daily what ifs. The Westworld coming to reality, folks. It's a lot of strange things coming up in 2025, a lot of AI components. But is there a what if moment where we're going to be talking about this particular, let's just say, TV series? And there's other shows that precede that to do the perception of robotics in the dystopian future. So has anybody ever heard of the show Westworld? Has anybody out there heard of Westworld? Well, Westworld came out in 2016, and it is a dystopian. Well, you see it on the screen there. The Westworld season 1 was called The Maze. So let's just talk about it for a minute. Westworld is American dystopian science fiction western drama, and the series is set in a futuristic, technological, advanced amusement park called Westworld. We're in the West Side, right? West Side of America. The Western nation here in America. Isn't that interesting? Where wealthy guests can live out their wildest fantasies with android hosts designed to cater to their ever desire without consequence. The park is populated by artificial beings who are programmed to follow script narratives and cannot harm humans, or so it seems. Is Westworld on the horizon? Is it, folks? Is it on the horizon? So there's some very interesting, let's just say, coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences, but here on the Visual Disturbance channel, we like to tackle all kinds of different things. But let's just say there's something that's came out just recently, And there's a lot of people questioning, and then a lot of people are praising it. A lot of people are praising what I'm getting ready to show you. I'm going to show you some footage that is pretty profound, and let's just say a little dystopian, a little robotic, a little Terminator, Skynet slash Android slash Avatar nonsensical nightmare coming to a theater near you as you coming to your reality of your perspective being altered by this insanity. But check this out. I'm going to show you guys something that's pretty insane. There's no audio, but check this out. Pretty wild stuff. As you can see on the screen here, we have a android-like creature, like thing, suit. They call it proto-clone, the world's first bipedal muscular skeleton android. So comment below, let me know what you guys think, what this interesting insanity is here. But check this out and watch this. There's no audio, let me narrate here. It's moving by probably sound and frequency and signal and everything, and probably by, let's just say, neural pathways of the brain. I don't know, but I just seen this on Twitter, and I thought it was interesting. We have this proto-clone is what they call it, the world's first bipedal muscular skeleton android, and I guess it's going to be powered by the mind, right? Powered by the mind. Where are we going? Are we having a visual disturbance here? Yes, we are, folks. I'm having a visual disturbance, and it's so bizarre. I don't think I want to have anything to do with this or take any part in it. But isn't this in strange old world of in bizarro world? What do you guys think? So Westworld coming to reality? More than likely, possibly so. And it's on our, let's just say, doorstep. So it's on our doorstep. So here's some interesting things about Westworld. We're talking about the maze, right? Well, there's some interesting comparisons to our reality right now. On the left side, you have a prototype of Optimus Prime, right? Well, it's not Optimus Prime, it is literally a Tesla robot, but they call it Optimus. And then on the right side of the screen here is the android that is in Westworld. You remember those artificial intelligence, those artificial characters that will tend to the amusement park of Westworld? Well, those are the robots that live underground. And they're all like nefarious, devious, did I say devious? Let's just say evil intentions to keep everybody in the farm, right? The amusement park. Insane. So check this out. There's two characters here that are on the Westworld program, the TV show. But these white, like, Skeletor anatomy of this robot looks very similar to what the video I showed you with the protoclone. So the protoclone, the world's first bipedal muscular android Skeletor, isn't it interesting that it's literally the exact same? It almost looks like a prototype was made in 2016 for a film prop. And let's just say that Westworld was before its time, right? Westworld was before its time, and it's just say predictive programming at its finest. So here's the what if moment. We have a what if moment. We have the Skeletor system here that is supposedly going to be coming up here that they're going to be distributing throughout the public. What if there's a what if moment that this stuff has already been before? There's nothing under the sun. And let's just think about it for a minute in logical sense. And if you have stuff that makes you think in the terms of, let's just say, Nephilim or the sons of God. You know, we talk about the Nephilim a lot here on the channel. The disembodied spirits. And if you had a disembodied spirits that want to inhabit another body and get back to that, let's just say, android, but it would be looking like they have their, you know, well, in some cases, well, in this case, there's 10 toes, 10 fingers, but I guess they won't worry about that extra finger, their extra toe, but they would crave to have another body back again. So wouldn't this be a portal or a gateway for them to come back into our reality and, let's just say, have amusement and as they walk around amongst us? So what if this is going to be a reality? And what if the Nephilim are coming back and they're going to use technological advancements to fool the masses, and we have a Westworld we have a Westworld reality where coming to reality around to a theater near you. So what if? So welcome to the Daily What Ifs. It's a short one today, folks. But Westworld coming to reality, I thought it was very interesting and very profound that these things are going down in our reality in the Westworld. Like I said, dystopian future. 2016, then when the film came out, the TV show, they had an older version of it, I think back in the 70s, did a reboot. But just check out the logo and the cover in general. It's pretty insane. Pretty insane, the membrane, right? Yeah. But yeah, welcome to the Daily What Ifs. I hope everybody enjoyed it, because I sure did. Westworld coming to reality. So comment below in the description box. Let me know how you all think about these Daily What Ifs, and let me know what you think about daily the Daily What Ifs for the future reference for the future programs here on Visual Disturbance, and the Westworld coming to reality. Is it coming to reality? Is this just to gaslight the public? Is this just something they put out to make us think of it as a Hollywood prop or something to that magnitude? They're just going to use this for CGI and capabilities for, let's just say, more AI technology, maybe possibly bringing up movies and TV shows and using skeleton android-like bodies to have body doubles, etc. Is there something like that? What if? So anyways, that's a tongue-tied twister there. Westworld coming to reality. Welcome to the dystopian future, folks, and I hate to say it, but the Nephilim are amongst us. The aliens, the UFOs, it's all tied into one big bag of nonsense, and it's time to get our head straight and time to get our put our armor on, that we need to be articulating and understanding these things are literally here. They're here, and they're using technology and advancements to, let's just say, bamboozle the masses, and one day it's going to be one big Westworld amusement park. So welcome to the Daily What Ifs. See you on the next one. Visual Disturbance, I am out of here.
Got one that can see.
And you all thought this was over. Y'all thought this was over. Just want to throw us in here real quick. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for being part of the Visual Disturbance community. Share this thing out. Hit everything up in the description box. Let me know what you guys think about this video. And hit me up on social media. We appreciate it here at the Visual Disturbance community. And we appreciate you being part of the Visual Disturbance channel. And welcome, welcome, welcome to all new subscribers, all new followers, all that good stuff. Thank you all for being part of this journey with me. And until next time, we will see you on the next one. Visual Disturbance, I am out of here. See you on the next one. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Visual Disturbance. Terminators are starting to rise upon the land. Welcome to the Daily What Ifs. Welcome back, everybody, to the Daily What Ifs program here on Visual Disturbance channel. Terminators are starting to rise. I guess they started rising back in, 1984 when the Terminator series started coming out in the movie Hollywood narrative. I guess that some of that predictive programming was in the mix. If you was an 80s baby, I guess you got so spoon-fed so many boom boom with some Terminators, all kinds of different trilogies when it comes to that. What they have, several movies with the Terminator series, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20. whatever they had. But terminators are starting to rise, and folks, it's getting stranger by the day. So welcome to the Daily What Ifs. Here we're going to just jump right into it. It's going to be another short one, but it's going to be another one just jam-packed full of just a few little information bites here. But welcome to 2025 when everything is coming off the rails. The terminators are starting to rise, so check this out. Let me know what you guys think. This is getting real bizarre out there. What you see on the screen here is Helix. It's not Tesla. It's these other, let's just say robotic companies coming up to the, let's just say the game table to play the game. And welcome to the insanity when these terminators, humanoids, robotics are coming into our realm. And this gentleman that's getting ready to demonstrate when he says to them to place groceries in the proper placement in the kitchen area and tells them where to put them at. So mind you, there's 2 bags. Some of them are cold, frozen, spoiled, stuff that can spoil. And then the other one's just, your daily stuff that can stay on the shelf in the pantry. So check this out. Pretty bizarro world here. Let's just watch this together and let me know what you guys think in the comments below, because it's getting crazy out there.
Okay, I'd like to try something new. Even though this is the very first time that you've ever seen these items, I'd like you to use your new Helix AI and try to reason through where you think they belong in the scene, and then work together to put them away. Does that sound good?
I'm just going to pause it real quick right here. Did y'all watch let's just go there a little bit here. Why did they have the gingerbread packaging? People be like, well, Brian, you're probably reaching, but they could have picked any other cookie. They could have picked any other cookie, but we had to go with the gingerbread cookie during this demonstration, during this presentation for these 2 robot androids to be able to present this. And they're going real slow to put up the ketchup, taking an eternity, right? So, I don't know about you guys, but you could probably get this stuff put up in like a few minutes. It's taking them eternity. Terminator. So, yeah, the T-800's a little slow on this one. The little Helix doesn't have the the get up and go just yet, but hey, they're getting the items in the right place. So look out, stalkers, people that are restocking the shelves at the stores, because Terminator's coming for your job. Slow. So hopefully the copyright music in the background doesn't get me hit with anything. But hey, welcome to Visual Disturbance. But yeah, we got these two robots here competing to put up the groceries. So look at anybody out there in the futuristic world when it comes to grocery departments and whatnot, because these Helix are going to take and put all your groceries up and consolidate everything for you and possibly rotate your dates on the shelf. It's getting pretty crazy out there, folks. Getting a little bizarre. And I just thought I'd share this with you today. Welcome to Daily What Ifs. You know, I was thinking, John Connor, help us. No, it's more like Jesus Christ, help us. Not John Connor. It's kind of interesting that they chose JC for the abbreviations for the Terminator series. You know, John Connor, you know, Jesus Christ, right? JC. It's kind of ironic. But anyways, welcome to the Daily What Ifs here. What do you guys think about it with these Helix robots and these androids and humanoids? What's going on here? I mean, we're in 2025 and AI is taking over, and then you have these, let's just say, prototype robotic systems that are being put in play. I heard, no joke, this is what I've heard, I guess let's just say the Internet of Things. I heard that by 2030 that they will be either a protocol, or maybe everybody will have to have one of these in your household. Isn't that interesting? I heard 2030 was the year that everybody will at least have one assigned to you, or you'll have the ability to purchase one to have as your robotic maid. So welcome to the Twilight Zone. Terminators are literally rising up, starting to rise, and welcome to Daily What Ifs. So here's the what if moment. When I go back and look at hieroglyphics and petroglyphs, and I think to myself, why is there humanoid characters that don't look human at all when it comes to hieroglyphics or petroglyphs? And I had this what if moment. What if there's nothing new under the sun, like the Bible says? What if? And what if there's nothing new under the sun, meaning that there was robots back in the day? What if there was something to this has happened before? Stephen Greer says that. The UFO researcher, the doctor, Stephen Greer says that there's nothing new under the sun. On another podcast just recently said that there was civilizations that came and gone. I'm probably not reaching, because why is there's these humanoid characters that do not look like a human, but there'll be humans and other beings that are kind of the same stature. It's a weird time to be alive, folks. Weird time to be alive. So what if that there's nothing new under the sun? These things that came about before, and we're just picking up what the past has started. You know, we're just picking up what the past used to lay down. You know, like there's things that are going on in our world that we cannot explain, and wonder if they've hacked into something. Elon Musk said that. He was just smart enough to hack into the earth. What if he's figured out the ways to quantify the things when it comes to quantified quantum field, quantum entanglement in the Terminator, let's just say, robotic situation that's coming around the bend? What if? What if? Comment below. Let me know what you think. Welcome to Visual Disturbance. Hit that share button. Hit that like button. Appreciate everybody being part of the Visual Disturbance community. Until the next time, see you on the Daily What Ifs.
Got one that can see.
Welcome to the Daily What Ifs. You got to catch them all. Got to catch them all. A little Pokemon Daily What Ifs. Let's get into it. Pikachu, Pikachu. Well, it's Pokemon, everybody. Those little critters, those little demons, you know, those little happy old, just fluffy little, innocent little characters that was called pocket monsters that captivated the minds of Americans and every other country when the Pokemon made its debut back in the 90s. But anyways, welcome to the Visual Disturbance Daily What Ifs program. You got to catch them all. You got to catch them all, everybody. Well, we got a Pikachu on the screen here. Got a little Pikachu. Do you all remember when this came out? A long time ago, back in the 90s. It was like one of those, like, it's nostalgic. And people are like, hey, I got to catch them all. I can't wait to catch them. Does anybody remember what happened here just not too long ago? There was a lot of strange things going on in our, let's just say, applications, right? And I remember something very interesting to me when this certain thing came out, Pokemon Go. So 2016, this came out as a big raid, man. People was raiding for it, and they was all hyped for it. Hey, let's get into some Pokemon action. Pokemon Go 2016, free augmented reality, right? It was augmentation application. It was a big hype, man. There was people going after the Pokemon Go, and got to catch them all, right? The mobile game that came out in 2016, big thing back in 2016. I want to tell you all this little story about. Before we get into the what if, let me tell you a little story. I remember this very clearly when this came out, the same year, 2016. As anybody knows me by now, that my occupation used to be a milkman before my accident, and I used to literally deliver milk to places. They still make milkmen. Milkmen still are a thing in this reality, and we did a lot of deliveries to different types of facilities, etc. Doesn't matter. If you have a milk in a place, it doesn't matter if it's literally a mom and pop store to, let's just say, down by the river, milkmen go through all kinds of conditions to get the milk out there. It's insane. So I remember something very, it's just very intense and very insane. One day I was out running my route, and it was 2016, mind you, and I remember very clearly what was about to go down. I'll tell you a story here. I was driving down the road about 35 miles an hour. Wasn't too fast. But when it comes to Milkman World and you have your, let's just say, all your product and your inventory in the behind in the big box car, you know, big box truck, and you have your, let's just say, there's bars that hold up the milk and keep them, let's just say, in place. Well, I was driving around 35 miles an hour, which was the speed limit, 34, 35, give or take. And there was a gentleman on the road with his phone, pinned to his phone, and all of a sudden, this college kid jumps out from the sidewalk and jumps out in front of my milk truck, and I kid you all not, boom, you know, I'm sitting there, here's smoke coming off the brakes, and I'm literally, the only thing I'm getting ready to do is just, basically rip the whole back of my milk truck up to avoid a crash and hurting somebody, right? Well, I dodged the individual by like feet. I literally get out, and I'm like in a kind of a bad state that day anyways, and I said, what are you doing, right? And this gentleman proceeds to tell me, I'm trying to catch a Pokemon. And I said, what? I said, did you realize I about ran you over? Did you realize you about lost your life because the milkman couldn't get the milk truck stopped in the equivalent amount of time to save your hide? Basically, I was getting really righteously angered. Let's just say that. And I told him to stay off the road. I said, dude, and I kid you all not, kid you guys not, this kid literally caught a Pokemon, and that's what locked my milk truck up. I dodged him. I saved his life, and I looked over, and I knew what happened. There was a lot of milk spilled that day. Not blood, but a lot of milk spilled all over the place. And I didn't have much left. It was like a long day, 14 hours. And I said, sir, did you see that milk pouring out of the back of the truck? Because there's like these drain systems that all these milk trucks have. Sitting there pouring, just excessive amount of milk. And I'm sitting there going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I said, I've probably lost about 4 or 5 stacks of milk because that's what I heard fall when I'm trying to dodge you. So I'm dodging milk. I'm dodging human beings because of Pokemon Go narrative. And he caught his Pokemon. But he about caught a milk river. The milkman literally about poured milk. I was pouring milk all over them streets. And I lost a lot of inventory that day, and that kid was like, I'm sorry. No, I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, too. I'm sorry, too, that our world's gotten to this insanity that a man can't even work his milk route and deliver milk and provide for his family because you have took it upon yourself to get the red carpet out and catch a Pokemon right dab in the middle of the street. So you have a good day, sir, but you literally damaged my milk. All my milk went pouring every which way, and it was insane. So there's a story of augmented reality. The augmentation and the insanity that these individuals and these people have to do with this, and I kid you not, it happened to me in 2016. And the college kid was like, dude, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, dude. And like, whoa, dude, I'm sorry, man, it ruined your day. No, I'm sorry. Hey, no, I'm thankful I didn't. I'm thankful that you're still here. Because if I hadn't have been able to maneuver the milk truck and spill my milk, it might have been a different alternative. Crazy, crazy story. You cannot make this stuff up. Can't make it up. Pokemon Go, augmented reality. I mean, I can only imagine where the individual is now. He's probably strapped up right now to the VR headset, Apple VR, and he's probably like, I remember the story of the milkman. I almost lost my life that day. He spared my life because I was playing around with Pokemon augmented reality. Insane, right? Insane. So, not only was he trying to capture Pikachu? Well, here's the thing on the daily what ifs. What if he didn't capture them all? What if he didn't catch all these Pokemons? Well, I guess he didn't, so check this out. So what if there's one Pokemon that this man did not capture? So check this out. This is hilarious. Watch this. As you can see on the screen here, this just happened not too long ago. There was a bid on this lovely, lovely Pokemon. But here's the kicker. A little bit more bizarro world than what you think, because you have to really think about what the information here and how bizarro world we are living in. Our world is coming off the rails, folks. But this is our what if moment. The man, what if the Pokemon was, let's just say, embodied the Cheetos? Well, guess what, folks? There's a what if moment. It did. The Cheetos have been converted. They said it was intact. It was, I think they may have found it like in 2018, 2019. I guess the whole, the hype with all the Pokemon Go. I guess they was reaching their Cheeto bags, little Cheeto bags, which I wouldn't recommend getting any, and especially in this day and age. But I used to be a big fan of Cheetos, but I'm not now for other, let's just say, reasons. But $87,000 of the Charizard, I almost messed up. Charizard-shaped Cheetozard, okay? Charizard, Cheetozard, and Charizard, that dragon, right? That dragon, $87,000, folks. They spent $80,000 on this. I'm just going to play the video here for y'all's entertainment purposes only. But that kid back in 2016, he didn't capture them all with his augmented Pokemon Go. He forgot one. It was in a Cheeto bag. So check this out. I'm gonna mute the audio because for copyright purposes. But let's just watch this. Check that out, folks. So we have $87,000. Charizard. We got that Charizard. I keep saying Charizard because I'm so baffled by the $87,000. It's all in this nice little plastic case, glass case. And they found this in a Cheeto bag, apparently. I guess anybody out there, if you got some Cheetos, you want to combine them all together, make them all whole again, and you could just form whatever in 2025 and make yourself a Pokemon, a Pikachu, or whatever type of little demon character, and place it together. Maybe in 2029 or 2030, when they come up with Pokemon 2.0, 4.6, go, you'll be able to get $200,000 for your bid at this auction. I think it was the golden auction. For $87,000, you could have got a Charizard-shaped Cheetozard at your disposal. So, not only do you have it at Pokemon Augmented Reality, now you have a box with a stale Cheeto, and there's where the what-if moment is. So anyways, folks, welcome here to Visual Disturbance, where we talk about stuff that's a little bit crazy. This one got me. I know this one's a little bit more insane, but if I'm just going to give you my take, $87,000, I would never I don't care what reality is. I don't care what paradigm it is. I don't care what, if I go back in time with a flux capacitor, I'm joking. I'm not going to be spending $87,000 on a Cheeto. This is where we're at, folks. Anywhere, look, if I had $87,000, there would be so much I would do with it for good. This individual, whoever bought this anonymous buyer, it's sitting on a shelf now, more than likely, and he or she's probably like, I caught them all. I got a Cheeto, and I'm so thankful and so glad, and just my gratitude to this bid. I can't believe this individual found this in 2018, 20-something. It was somewhere in that time frame, and they preserved it in a nice little case, and that's one of my favorite characters, Charizard. I'm so excited. Folks, this is insanity. Welcome to Visual Disturbance. I mean, where are we at? How can you comprehend this reality when you see this nonsense right here? $87,000, you can go buy a house. $87,000, at least do something. Do something good with it. So, this one is a more bizarre what-if moment. I just wanted to give you all my 2 cents on this because it's really bizarre. Are we living in some type of Twilight Zone paradox shift that doesn't make any sense anymore? Because apparently, Cheetos are the new thing. Cheetos are the new, let's just say, if you sculpt a Cheeto, you might be able to get by but the 100K here just soon. Sell it at the golden auction and you'll buy that thing and everybody will bid on it. Insane in the membrane. Well, welcome to Visual Disturbance. I'm your host. Welcome to the Daily What Ifs. I hope y'all enjoyed this one because, well, I just hope you did. And I know that a lot of people are talking about this Pokemon stuff again. It's coming back around the bend. It's getting hyped up again. It's getting hyped up. But that's a true story, folks. Welcome to the insane world. Back in 2016, I dodged a Pokemon and an individual and a human being. I dodged him. He caught him. I dodged them both. So you got to catch them all. You got to catch them all. I'm joking. I don't get on the Pokemon, let's just say, nostalgia. I don't get into it. I don't get around it. But this was one of those daily what-ifs where it's kind of fun, humorous, and entertainment purposes only here on the YouTube channel. So, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the Daily What Ifs. I am your host, Visual Disturbance. We will be back for another one on the Daily What Ifs. Got to catch them all. Watch out for Pikachu, and all these insanity going on. Spend your money on something that is of a holy nature. Spend your money on something that's going to help you in life. Stay away from literally Cheetos that look like characters from the 1990s. So, anyways, with that being said, Visual Disturbance, I'm out of here. See you on the next one, folks.